if you're creating a world, you need to get very deep into it. So I've had some wonderful experiences, like I once went in and watched someone doing brain surgery.
So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today for a new series of Banijay Elle Talks. Today I have the pleasure to have Jennifer with me. Jennifer, can we start by telling us a bit about your role at Banijay?
Yeah, sure. So I'm head of development at Esmerelda Productions, which is Selene Henry and John Sen's company, which is a scripted company with a focus on bringing diverse voices into the mainstream.
Is there a moment that really shaped your career direction?
When I first started, so I started out working as a performer, and quite a lot of my friends who were doing that sort of job with me sort of slowly started drifting over into this amazing sort of world of TV development. So I got my first gig doing that as a researcher for my previous company, and there came a point during that where I started as a researcher and just kind of stayed in the job and just sort of worked my way up. And my boss at the time said, I think you'd make a really good head of development. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a possibility. Okay, what do I need to do? And she was like, just start doing the job. Just like start acting like the head of development and we'll see where we get to. So that got me sort of thinking more strategically about our slate and sort of really thinking more deeply about the kind of shows that I wanted to make, and it just clicked. So that's the sort of trajectory that I followed, and it was from that initial chat with a female boss who had noticed.
And so would you say that person then would be the biggest influence so far in your career, or was that what really defined?
I think so. I mean, that certainly got me on the track that I'm on. I was thinking about that question, and I would say I didn't want to like just mention her all the time, but she was amazing. But also I would say the other thing that I feel like has been an influence on my career in drama is that as I grew up, I was really interested in comedy. And I used to that's what my family would watch at home. And I as I sort of became more interested in kind of hour-long drama, I feel like I've brought that need for like a sense of humour and a sense of fun with me into that sort of more dramatic space. So I think that's been important as well.
And so giving from that kind of advice that you received from her, what would you say is the advice that you give most often to people, and what do you still need to hear yourself?
I think the advice that I give to people most often is for people who are working on my side of the business in scripted and in development, I tend to tell them to go and work on production, because it's really hard to understand what the process of like making something complete is until you've been on the other side of it, until you've been on a set, until you've sort of seen it happening for real. And I think it's easy to kind of get stuck in a bit of a development bubble without really thinking, what do I want the world to actually see of this? Yeah. You know, for me, the advice I need to keep giving myself is get out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
You know, it's very easy to kind of realize the group of skills that you have and sort
feel
of
comfortable where you are.
Very comfortable there. So I like to keep trying to push into new territory.
And what's the move that you've made in your career that maybe felt risky at the time?
Well, I think we've just talked about it a bit, really. Because I started in development, I was finding myself very stuck in that side of the business, and at some point I had to say to the people I was working for, I need to go and work on production, because I can't improve at my job until I've been on a set more. And that involved stepping away from a role that I'd had for quite a long time and sort of going out on a limb a bit to sort of, and stepping down the career ladder to get the skills that I needed on the production side. But what it meant was that I ended up here working with John and Lenny. So, you know, even if something is scary and risky, like, it can push you to make a leap and it can
And you never
change
know
things
what
for the
might
better.
happen, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever thought about another kind of career or role that you'd like to do?
Serious answer. I've always been fascinated by the commissioning process, because obviously, sitting on this side as an indie, trying to sort of give the commissioners what we think they want, it would be really wonderful even just to be a fly on the wall in those conversations.
What's an unexpected skill that you've learned either during this role or during your role like in your career?
Well, I've realised that research is a big part of this job, particularly if you're creating a world, you need to get very deep into it. So I've had some wonderful experiences. Like I once went in and watched someone doing brain surgery, which was something that I'm not saying that I could now do brain surgery, but it was a fun kind of experience to sort of, see into a world that I knew nothing about.
Was it kind of scary though, or?
It was very weird because it was very chilled out. Like they were listening to sort of reggae music and everyone was just chatting. So yeah, it was kind of fascinating.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining us today.